Emil Kadlec here with Diehards.com. Week 5 of the 2021 NFL season. Woo! Going fast. And we're here with the line of scrimmage DFS cash game show with some GPP. And we're here with our star, John Laub, the scholar. How you doing, John?
I'm doing great. What a day of football. The 12 o'clock kickoffs, Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, Mississippi were two of the best games I've seen this year, Emil. Texas scored 48 points. The other three teams eclipsed 50. I mean, it was just an awesome day, and I get to relax, watch football on my big screens, and I do my research, and I'm here now with you and all the viewers to get you ready for your cash game lineups tomorrow.
Fantastic. Well, let's hit the first slide. Here we are.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, every week we like to begin with some sleepers. You know, when you're putting together lineups, if you want to go top shelf players, you want to spend big at wide receiver, you want to spend up at quarterback, you need to be able to find some salary savings. And Emil and I begin every week with some of those savings. And I know a lot of people are going to be on Daniel Jones this week of the Giants. I actually think the Giants are going to lay an egg here against Dallas. I like Dallas a lot. So I'm going to pivot off of Daniel Jones. And I know he was impressive last week. But who was he impressive against? The New Orleans Saints. And every time I look, all I see is Taylor Heinicke playing like a Pro Bowler. Emil, the last 3 games, 24, 24, 28 DraftKings points. In that time period, Heinicke has only gone up 300. He started at 5,600. Now he's 5,900. Last week, 290 yards and 3 touchdowns in that incredible come-from-behind victory. He has a nice rushing floor. 43 yards rushing against Atlanta last week, 21 yards rushing, and a touchdown the week before. Heinicke is being overlooked. He's only owned on 1% of the teams. New Orleans does not impress me. I know the numbers are okay. But Heinicke's at home here, and I love Terry McLaurin. They got Curtis Samuel back. McKissick is unbelievable out of the backfield. It looks like Antonio Gibson's going to play. I know that they lose Logan Thomas, but I believe that Washington is going to be able to move the football at home. He's only on 1% of teams. I'm shocked. Everyone overlooks this player. I like him. I'll pivot to Heinicke this week. He's one of my top players until he proves me wrong, Emil. A player who's scoring over 23 points a week, I'll take him in regular season, fantasy football, as well as the DFS.
1%, that's insane.
It's insane. Remember, Emil, when Ryan Tannehill popped in 2019? He came off the bench for Marcus Mariota, and I think people did not believe that he was good after his career at Miami. And he just was a screaming value week after week, and no one was interested. He was on the waiver wire in fantasy football leagues. I feel like that's how people think about Heinicke. If you loved Ryan Fitzpatrick, you loved Terry McLaurin, people were ooling over the ability of Antonio Gibson. Well, Heinicke slots into this offense. I like him here. I'm going to keep riding him a 1%. I mean, what a nice pivot that he is available for everyone. Last week we had him, and he came through for us, and I got him again this week.
What the heck? Go back to the well.
Yeah. I mean, until he proves me wrong. Now, if this was in New Orleans, I might be a little worried, but it's in Washington. I like him here a ton, Emil. Now, opportunity is the name of the game in fantasy football. We all know that. David Montgomery, he was having a very good season. He was having a great game last week. Then he got hurt. Damian Williams steps into the opportunity that presents itself. And I know Khalil Herbert is on there. But I think Khalil Herbert, as a rookie, I don't think he's ready to command the lion's share of the touches. I do believe the Bears will go with the veteran here. It's a very favorable matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders. It is on the road. But if you're talking about opportunity and touches, I believe Harris should get at least 18 touches, something like 14 or 15 carries. Then he's going to get 3 or 4 receptions minimum. If you get into the end zone, you're looking at a 20-point game. He's only 5,600. He's not a star player. I don't think he has like a 30-point upside. But I think you have a nice 12-point floor with a 20-point ceiling. He's only on 5% here. The matchup is good. The opportunity is screaming, play me. He was one of the biggest waiver wire pickups in regular season leagues this year. Almost, I think in every league I was in, I saw him picked up on the waiver wire. Love him here against the Raiders. You're looking for a starting running back under 6,000. I'll take it here. 2 receivers have popped for me this week who are under $5,000. And we could have gone real low, and I'll give you a player coming up. But Laviska Shenault against the Titans. We just saw Zach Wilson, Corey Davis, and the New York Jets totally eat up this Titans secondary. Ouch. Now the Titans travel to Jacksonville. And I know there's some challenges here with Urban Meyer, and that's a whole different story. But I think Trevor Lawrence is getting better. Trevor Lawrence wants to improve. But what really attracts me here is DJ Chark is out for the year. Well, that means that there is now more targets available, more snaps available. Laviska Shenault last week had 7 targets. He had 6 receptions for 99 yards. He did not get in the end zone, and he still scored 17 DraftKings points. In the opening week against Houston, he had 10 targets and 7 receptions. Emil, I will go against this Titans secondary until they illustrate to me that they can stop anyone. I mean, when Zach Wilson is eating them up and won a game, you gotta like what Trevor Lawrence is doing. I thought he was impressive a couple of weeks ago. They did lose the game against the Bengals, but I do think that Lawrence is improving. I like Shenault here. I'm hoping for double-digit targets, and against the weak secondary, I'll take it. And every time I turn on the Raiders, because if you've been watching with Emil and I, we've talked about Derek Carr this year. I have Derek Carr in some 2-quarterback leagues. I like him. He's underrated. But every time I end up watching the Raiders, one of the players that is impressive is Hunter Renfrow. And I started looking at it. Emil, talk about wildly consistent. 9 targets, 7 targets, 6 targets, and 8 targets. Receptions, 6, 5, 5, 6. Incredibly consistent. Double-digit points each week on DraftKings. The last 2 weeks, he has scored a touchdown, and he has produced 18.7 and 16.5 DraftKings points. And everyone, if you were watching the game against the Chargers in the first half, when the Chargers tried to do a fake punt, and Hunter Renfrow recognized the fake punt, and he came up from his punt return duties, and he made the tackle, and the Chargers did not convert the first down. Just what an intuitive, smart football player. I saw him a ton at Clemson. He played for the Tigers when they had a ton of talent at wide receiver. He was basically their 3rd receiver in the rotation. I do believe he caught the game-winning touchdown pass against the Alabama Crimson Tide. I believe he's the one who caught it from Deshaun Watson, if my memory serves me. That was a great game. I like Renfro here. I like the Raiders to bounce back. We all saw how poorly they played against the Chargers at home against Chicago. I think the Raiders bounce back. I like Renfro here as a cash game floor play. I really like Renfro. He gives you a nice floor of 11 to 13 points. What do you think, Emil?
Oh, those are excellent. Yeah, Renfro is an interesting, the whole dynamic of these receivers for the Raiders. There's a lot of guys that are coming on. It's great to see Ruggs perform better. But Renfro seems to just, like you said, he's got that base, he's got that lower floor, yet he has the opportunity to score touchdowns. He's a great player, and I think that Carr is going to him, and I'm sure Carr will play better. Boy, Carr looked scared to death against the defensive line of the Chargers.
As an NFL quarterback, it's kind of tough when a defensive lineman says if we knew we hit him, he would crumble when Joey Bosa called him out after the game. Now, we're going to see because the Chargers have to play the Raiders again later in the year. So let's see if Joey Bosa gets a little bit of the business by those Raiders offensive linemen later in the season.
I hope the Raiders play better. But, glancing at the game, and I think I couldn't watch all of it because I was helping my grandkid with homework. But watching some of it, he just did not perform against the pass rush. Now, maybe it was very difficult, but it was just a far cry from what we've seen so far this year. But, hey, we'll see what happens the next time they play each other. Yeah, this looks great. All right, let's go on to the next slide.
Every week we like to give you the Fantastic Four to help you build a cash game lineup. And this week I found a lot of value because if you look at the top of the board, you have Derrick Henry at 9,000, Alvin Kamara at 8,600, Aaron Jones 7,900. Then you go to receiver, Devontae Adams 8,200, Justin Jefferson, DeAndre Hopkins, DJ Moore. So what I wanted to give an opportunity for our viewers this week, I went a little bit down in price. If you notice there, I only put on a roster in the Fantastic Four that costs $21,800 on your salary. For the remaining 5 players, you have over $5,600 per player, and that includes a defense and a tight end. So you can choose to pay down on both of them. And there's no Kelsey in this slate. So it's really advisable and feasible to pay down the tight end position. So what I wanted to do is I want to let our viewers put into our optimizer our Fantastic Four. And if you want Justin Jefferson and DeAndre Hopkins, you will be able to plug them in with this Fantastic Four. So in order to do that, I wanted to find a quarterback that I like near the 6,000 range. I gave you Heineke as a sleeper, but I don't feel as confident in Heineke as I do Burrow. And part of the reason why I like Burrow here so much is he's got all 3 of his receivers. T. Higgins is back. That means you now have Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Tyler Boyd. So I'm very comfortable that with those 3 receivers, he can make plays down the field. But what I like about it most is he's lining up against Aaron Rodgers. And I feel real confident that Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are going to put points on the board. Well, from a fantasy perspective, we love that. Because if Aaron Rodgers is going to put up 28, 31, 34 points, that means the Bengals are going to be forced to play catch-up and forced to put points up. When we saw Burrow against Jacksonville, he scored 25 points that evening on DraftKings. 348 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and that was without T. Higgins. I like him to bounce back here or have another big game at home against the Bengals, and he saves you a ton of money. You can pay up with Kyler Murray. You can go and pay up with Tom Brady. But if you do that, it's going to limit how many stars you want, how many high-priced players you want at the running back position and at the wide receiver. So I wanted to give you options to pay up at those other positions. I like Burrow a ton here. I think he has a very big game. Leonard Fournette, is walking into an ideal situation. Giovanni Bernard does not appear to play. Ronald Jones is just not very good. Leonard Fournette is coming off 20 carry game for 92 yards. Also, the Dolphins are very kind to opposing running backs here. Tom Brady in the past has taken advantage when he has these big, powerful running backs from Corey Dillon all the way up to LeGarrette Blount. When he has a lead in the second half, he likes to go to that big, physical running game and kill the clock. I expect the Dolphins to fall behind here. I think Brady puts up 3 or 4 touchdowns in the first half, definitely by the end of the third quarter. Well, what does that tell me? Leonard Fournette is going to be running the football. Also, I like it. Emil, here are Fournette's receptions. He's a better receiver than Ronald Jones. 3, 4, and 5 receptions in the first 4 games this year. It's obviously going to depend a little bit on touchdowns. I expect Fournette to score at least once. Hey, we know touchdowns are fickle. But if Fournette gets a fourth quarter touchdown, or he has the possibility with his speed, he could score from outside the 30. I like Fournette here. He's only 5,200. The matchup, the game script, knowing Brady, and the way Fournette is playing, I like him here. I know he's highly owned at 18%, but in cash games, I'm looking for points. I'm not competing against other players and their ownership percentage. I'm looking for points scored. I think Leonard Fournette gets over 20 in this matchup against Miami. I love Keenan Allen. Emil, look at the Chargers milked the game away in the second half against the Raiders. Keenan Allen has gotten 23 targets the last 2 weeks, Emil. He's getting peppered with targets. He also had 13 targets the opening game of the year against the Washington football team. Before last week, which was his lowest output of the year, Keenan Allen in the first 3 games had scored 19, 18, and 22 DraftKings points. Absolutely love him here against Cleveland at home. He's only 6,500. Keenan Allen has as high of a ceiling as almost any receiver on the slate. It was awesome. You can team him up with DeAndre Hopkins. You can team him up with Justin Jefferson or Adams. I'm sorry, all of a sudden, Devontae Adams of the Packers. So it gives you 2 stud receivers if that's the direction you want to go. I love Allen here. And then I decided I needed to find all of our viewers' value. Where can we go and pivot? And I had a couple players, and I thought about Curtis Samuel of the Washington, but I decided I was so impressed with what Kadarius Toney did. And I was not the biggest fan of Kadarius Toney on tape coming out of Florida, a late bloomer. But Sterling Shepard's out, and Darius Slayton is out. And the target should be there. Also, the Cowboys give up the 7th most points to wide receivers. I do believe their defense is playing better, but because the offense is putting points on the board, opposing teams have to throw the football in the second half. You have Kenny Galladay, you have Evan Ingram, and you have Saquon Barkley. There are a lot of weapons here in New York. Kadarius Toney, I think the stat, if I recall, on 5 receptions, he had 6 missed tackles, or on 6 receptions, he had 5 missed tackles. That's just an amazing statistic, and that's exactly what we saw if you watch the film at Florida. He had 9 receptions against the Saints. He had 9 targets, 6 receptions for 78 yards. He did not score a touchdown, but he had 13.9 points. If he can get into the end zone somehow, he's only $4,000. He's a salary saver. I've got to find some salary savings for our viewers. I love Kadarius Toney here. That's my fantastic four. Emil, were you able to put that lineup into our optimizer?
Oh yeah, it's looking good. It's like you said, one of the lineups it has Devontae Adams. It's throwing in Ingram, the tight end for the Giants, also in a few of the lineups, which scares me. But it has the same it has the same correlation. If they're missing so many players, maybe he's a good player. But yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff here. It's got Henry in a lot, Aaron Jones. It's fun. Like I said, you can get 50 lineups out of this thing and do all sorts of fun stuff. So yes, you're giving a lot of room there with the 21,800 salary. So that's definitely giving people opportunity to try various things. So, oh, by the way, let's not forget, Burrow also has C.J. Uzomah, the tight end that, I'm not, who knows, but what a great game he played last week. And he was looking for him.
Yeah, they touchdowns, game winner, right?
Yeah, that one play where I think Burrow motioned him, but Burrow was moving to his right, and CJ went to Burrow's left, and Burrow threw to him. And I'd love to know more about that play because it looked so intuitive between quarterback and tight end. Maybe that little woof with his hand was telling him to go to his right, to Burrow's left, but it was quite great. Yeah, that's great. And Kadarius will be fun to watch this week. Dallas is obviously, they look like they're trying to balance their offense this year because they're getting ahead. Last year they were behind all the time, so that'll slow the game down a little bit. But we'll see what this Kadarius does.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to that game actually because I do like the Cowboys. There's some good plays on that side too.
Fantastic. All right, next slide.
All right. If you love DFS like I do, we help you build better DFS lineups on footballdiehards.com. We have so many good articles and shows to help you. We have DraftKings Cash Plays and DFS GPP Stacks by Jamie Calandro. It's up there right now. We have The Shadow Knows by Gary Davenport, wide receiver cornerback matchups. If you're looking for sneaky wide receivers who have an advantage on their matchup or against certain coverages, Gary has you there. The Hall of Famer Bob Harris, the DFS 3 and Out every week. His favorite 3 GPP plays and the one that he is not putting into his lineups. Digging in the Crates daily by Justin Lanero. If you want sleepers and you want some salary savings other than the 4 players that I gave you, Justin gives you a whole bunch at all the positions that you can plug into your lineups. And then Sunday mornings, Jason and Jamie come back every Sunday morning with DFS Football Diehards show on Sundays. Of course, you have my DraftKings sheet of knowledge that is also up there right now on footballdiehards.com. It has 2 cash game lineups that I am playing. It also has top shelf investments and value plays that I like. It has quarterback, wide receiver stacks for you to invest in and contrarian ones based on low ownership that GPP players may not be thinking about. So check out all of our great information on footballdiehards.com, everyone.
Fantastic. All right, off to the GPP.
All right, every week, GPP, I like to play one lineup. I'm not a multi-entry player, but I'm looking to hit the home run. I'm not looking to finish in the top 11%. I want to be in the top 1 or the bottom 2. I'm swinging for the fences. So every week I try to find a stack that I believe is being overlooked and under-owned in GPP lineups with our ownership percentage on footballdiehards.com. We have a great sheet that is constantly updated for ownership percentage. This week, it's not in the top scoring games. If you go to the games with the highest over-under, the Browns at Chargers does not rank at the very top. It's got a very nice, healthy 47 points projected with Los Angeles as 2.5-point favorites. So Vegas is telling us that these two teams are going to put some touchdowns on the board, and they're going to remain close heading into the fourth quarter. It might even come down to a final play of the game. Immediately, I had a look at Justin Herbert. When I'm looking at the top quarterbacks, and, I'm talking about Kyler Murray, I'm talking about Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Jalen Hurts. I look and I see that Justin Herbert is still below $7,000, so I'm very happy about that. Jalen Hurts has surpassed him in the salary. Then I saw a low ownership under 10%. When I can get a top 5 quarterback, in my opinion, in DFS, in a home game with under 10% ownership, with a wide receiver who I love. I was just talking earlier about how much I love Keenan Allen and putting him into my cash game lineup. I couldn't resist Justin Herbert, and that's why I chose the Browns and the Chargers to build a contrarian stack. Before the show today, Emil and I were chatting a little bit. We always get together before we record. And I said, in the last 2 games, Justin Herbert has thrown 7 touchdown passes. He actually threw 3 touchdowns in the first half against the Raiders, Las Vegas, but he didn't have to throw in the second half. The Chargers pretty much had that game under control. So he threw for 222 yards and 3 touchdowns. He still scored 21.2 DraftKings points. But if you watch the game, the Chargers kind of let their defense dominate. They let Austin Eckler in the running game take control of the clock, and Herbert didn't throw much. The week before against Kansas City, in that amazing upset on the road against the Chiefs, Justin Herbert produced 30.8 DraftKings points against Patrick Mahomes. I like him here a ton. I'm getting a top quarterback at under 10%. I would have loved to get him under 5, but I'm willing to make that concession because I think Herbert is special, and it is difficult to get a quarterback as good as Justin Herbert owned in less than 7% of lineups. So I'm taking him here in the GPP. And then I said, who am I going to take on the other side? If the Chargers are going to get ahead, and that's kind of what I think, then I need the pass-catching back Kareem Hunt. And last week, Kareem Hunt actually had more snaps than Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt is also the one with the pass-catching floor. In the last 2 games, he has 11 targets, Emil. He has scored 27.5 and 16.5 DraftKings points. He's also scored in each game. If I do believe the Chargers should get ahead, and therefore that means more snaps and more likely opportunities for Kareem Hunt. He's only owned on 3%. I'll take a 3% ownership of a high upside if the game script goes our way. Chargers get up early, force Cleveland out of that running game with Nick Chubb, and Kareem Hunt gets on the field and he's catching a lot of passes. Already talked about Keenan Allen. I know the ownership's a little high at 10%, but with the ceiling of 2 touchdowns and over 100 yards receiving, I'll take that 10% here with Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen. I just absolutely love him. I believe that people are upset. Hey, last week, Odell Beckham torpedoed one of my cash game lineups. I had one lineup that did very well. The other one, when you get, 4 points from Odell Beckham, and man, that long bomb when Baker Mayfield missed Odell Beckham late in the game against Minnesota, they could have cemented that game. I think my heart stopped for a few seconds when I saw that pass because that was a touchdown. and that would have made all the difference. And Baker missed Odell Beckham in the end zone earlier in the game. So Baker was throwing to Odell. He just was not connecting. I think there's going to be a bitter taste in DFS players' mouths, and Odell Beckham is projected to be only 4% ownership. Emil, the ceiling is high with Odell. It's been a long time. Last week, the whole DFS community thought it was going to happen, myself included. It did not happen. I'm looking for a contrarian GPP here. I'm going to get back on the Odell bandwagon, not cash game. GPP, because it's high risk, high return. I'll take him here at 4% ownership at only $6,000. And then I needed to find a low-priced player. Jared Cook. I mean, he might be the most underrated player in fantasy football the last 3 years. I've had him in a dynasty league. No one will trade you anything for him. I just keep playing him week after week the last 3 years. He was on New Orleans with Drew Brees and Sean Payton. Now he's with the Chargers and Justin Herbert. Last week against the Raiders, he had 19 points. Against Washington, the opening game of the season, he scored over 10. I'm looking for a lower-priced, high-ceiling player here. He's only owned on 5%. I'll take Jared Cook and hope that Herbert throws 3 or 4 touchdowns, and 2 or 3 of them go to Keenan Allen and Jared Cook. That is our contrarian lineup this week, everyone.
Excellent. Very interesting, and I love the frustration with Baker Mayfield with his left shoulder being hurt. The concern is that that's affecting his accuracy, even though he's a right-handed thrower. But, boy, looking at Odell Beckham's face when Baker missed that, he wasn't very happy about it.
He was not happy. And Odell has been whispering in Baker's ear all week. Come on, get that ball to me. I mean, I just think it's going to happen when everyone is off and frustrated.
Well, that's what we're looking in the contrarian GPP. We're looking for those kinds of things. It's not going to be obvious. It's never going to be obvious what ends up being a great GPP lineup. So those make sense to me. And Kareem Hunt at 3% still confuses me because those are shorter passes to Hunt. And Hunt's been just gobbling them up. Obviously, the Chargers' defense was fantastic against the Raiders last week. But still, I think Hunt's an excellent pick right there. So, yeah, this is an excellent lineup.
Yeah, and we're looking, what if this is to be like a 33-30 game? Then we're in golden shape. That's what we're hoping. And I don't think look at the ownership numbers there. People aren't on this game in general. I mean, everyone's going to be on the Green Bay, Cincinnati. They're going to be on Philadelphia, Carolina, Dallas, New York. I get it. Miami, Tampa Bay. But we've got to pivot if we want to do something very different.
Makes sense to me. That's fantastic. Yeah, these are some fun ones. I can't wait to get my lineups in. I did put that into the lineup optimizer, and there's definitely, everybody go to the lineup optimizer and put the lineups in, and obviously it gives you a million different options, which are really fun to go through, and they're a function of our rankings and whatnot. So gives you a lot of opportunities.
I love the optimizer. Yeah, and sometimes the optimizer gives you something that you didn't really think of, a combination or a way to put it together. It's right there on the homepage. Just look under. You'll see a button for daily. Then you'll find optimizer. It's awesome, everyone.
Fantastic. Any last things you'd like to talk about?
No, we have to watch one thing. We have to watch very closely for Dalvin Cook, Alexander Mattison. Okay. If Cook is out, Alexander Mattison becomes an almost automatic play at running back. I do update my sheet of knowledge every Sunday morning. Right now, Cook is questionable, but they're playing the Lions. If Mattison is the starter, the unquestioned starter, That's going to change our lineup. I already have a lineup constructed if Madison is the clear-cut starter. I just don't have definitive acknowledgement of Cook being out yet. But we have to watch that very closely, Emil.
And that is a morning game, so stay close to Football Diehards. Tomorrow morning we'll have that news ASAP. And so you'll be able to do that with everything available to you since it's an early game. Love the early games. All right. Thank you, John. Fantastic show. Good luck tomorrow, and good luck to our listeners tomorrow.